Well, welcome everybody to Recruit, Retain, Produce the Landvoice Journey. I am especially excited today to be joined by Fred Sed and by Shaun Farr. We'll give you a little bit of an intro into both. Fred, my amigo in Southern California, and despite being a Dodgers fan, he's a really good guy, really successful. Fred's a third-generation realtor, hopefully not a third-generation Dodger fan. Legacy rooted in real estate excellence and a career spanning decades, Fred's personally closed over 1,000 real estate transactions, and he combines hands-on experience with deep industry insight. Beyond his personal success, Fred's a respected mentor and leader, having trained over 15,000 real estate agents and brokers across the country. Currently leads one of Southern California's top producing real estate teams, recognized for their consistency and production. I believe you've got 7 teams or 7 offices across Southern California, spanning a few different counties. Shaun Farr of Landvoice, pal of mine. We golfed together not too long ago. We both did terribly, and we're much better at hopefully much better at this than we were on the course. Shaun is with Landvoice. Landvoice has been around. Some people don't know this, but 35, 36 years now. Do I have that right, Shaun?
Yeah, it's amazing to think about. Founded in 1991 in Salt Lake City, Utah. You know, back in the 90s, faxing data to brokers and real estate agents across the country, pre-internet, right? And so, yeah, Landvoice has been around for a long time, and thrilled about a lot of new changes, things that are happening within the company. And we want to talk about some of those things today as well.
Now, Shaun, were you there in 91 working that fax machine?
I was in junior high at the time, and actually living in Arizona. So no, I joined Landvoice in 2010. And so it's been almost a 15-year journey providing seller data to help agents list more homes. And it's been a fun journey. Obviously, our worlds, our universe has obviously grown up and done some really cool things. But we're still around doing the same things, which is helping agents get in their productivity and helping them grow their business. And Fred is an example of some of those things that have been happening in his business and his teams and all of his different locations and offices. And we want to talk through a little bit of that today. Obviously, Coby, we're talking today a little bit about, how do we get systems and processes in place to recruit, retain, and produce in all areas of our business. And Fred's an example of how we can do a lot of those things.
Yeah, and we're gonna dive in with Fred, and that's an extremely timely topic because we're talking about now 3 years of compressed transactions, compressed volume, compressed profit margin. At the same time, real estate brokerages are still trying to recruit and attract new agents, and they're giving away the store by doing so. So a lot of people are talking about how the model is a little bit broken in real estate, how we've got these compressed transactions going on. We're not doing as many deals as we were, but we're paying our agents, basically 100% of the commission. And so there's all these different models going on, and we're trying to figure out, how does a brokerage articulate enough value to their agents, not only to retain them, but to be able to keep them productive as well. We need to be able to make money off of those agents. And that's why this conversation is so poignant and so timely today. We know interest rates have dropped a little bit in the last week. We saw a jobs report that was revised yet again. And so we might see another rate drop coming. And so that should help. But we're far off from an inventory standpoint and from an affordability standpoint to really make the huge dent in the market that lowered interest rates would normally get to drive buyers off of the fence. So timely conversation today to talk about what are some of the other things we can do. And Landvoice is especially loud in that conversation because Landvoice does have solutions. Fred is utilizing some of those solutions at a very successful clip. And so let's start off and let's turn to Fred. Fred, tell us a little bit more about your teams, what you guys are doing, and how you're finding success in this market.
Yeah, that's a good question. It has been a compressed market for a couple of years. And I'll go back to the mindset, like knowing that, hey, COVID 2020, 2021, rates were low, transactions were high. We were just killing it during that time. Then we go into 2023, which was really the first year of the past 3 years that was a suppressed market. That was the first year that our team went down in revenue, in GCI, in profitability, in everything, right? And it was a wake-up call saying, whoa, hold on a second. This is a different market. This is completely different than what we're used to. There's no wind beneath our sails. So our systems were working. It was a quick shift we have to make. So we went back to the basics of what we know how to do, which I'm sure we'll get into today, around our systems, our models, our lead generation models, our agent accountability, our recruiting models, our retention models, to know that, hey, we have to be able to grow no matter what the market's doing. So buckling down, going back to the basics of lead generation with the data we'll talk about today was super important. But then realizing, hey, if we can succeed in this real estate recession of a compressed market, we don't know if it'll last 12 months, 10 years. When we can succeed in this market, when we can build a foundation of systems and infrastructure, then whenever this turns for the better and we get back into a bull market, we're going to just 10x overnight, and we're going to run for a couple of years in a bull market, and all my partners and staff can build wealth and then scale and then get ready for the next downturn whenever that may be. So that was kind of our mentality. We fixed that in 2023 and 2024, which was last year. We had our best year ever. And in 2023, we did 99 million. In 2024, we did 165 million. And our agent count in our multiple locations stayed relatively the same. We increased by 6 or 7%. So we didn't triple or quadruple agent count to get the increased revenue by 70% across the board. We just buckled down and focused on per agent productivity and focused on what do they need to do more units themselves? What more value can we give them to have what they need to be able to scale? And then also focus on consistent recruiting over time. But we didn't go, add 100 agents in the market to see if we can triple revenue. We had to fix the foundational systems in place and the standards and expectations. So then when we started focusing more on growth, then even the new agents can excel and exceed what they want to achieve. Right.
Yeah, fantastic narrative and fantastic example of how to dive deeper in this market and create value with what we've got. You talked about giving some of your agents what they need to succeed. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about some of the things that you found that they needed that have led to the success that you've managed to create. Yeah,
great point. So one of my business partners and just longtime mentors, his friend, is a guy named Ben Kenny, which obviously you guys know. And Ben taught me a long time ago that you have to know what to say when it comes to success principles as being a real estate agent, brokerage team, it doesn't matter. So number one, know what to say, scripts and dialogues, right? Have enough people to say it to, so that's leads, and then say it enough time, which is mentality, prospecting, systems, technology. So for us, we knew we had to have more contacts, more conversations. So number one, we had to make sure our CRM and our tech stack is dialed in across the board. Number two, because of the level of tech available to teams, team bridges, brokerages today, it's a very overwhelming value proposition that agents can use to get lost in the weeds. So going back to the KISS method of keeping it simple, stupid is critical, because in our world, an agent, a productive agent that we want to scale and grow with, or even a small team, because I even recruit small teams, right? They need, number one, they need a solid CRM, dialed in, ready to go. Number two, they need the data that goes within the CRM, right? And then number three, they need standards and protocol on what lead generation models to go. So our simple lead generation standard is 2 open houses conducted per week. Number three, 350 cold calls conducted per week. And then number three, 40 lead follow-up calls in the system done per week. So 2 open houses per week, 40 real estate lead follow-up conversations with past clients, friends, old leads, and then 350 cold call, outbound dial, circle prospecting, FSBO, expired, etc. When you do that consistently over time, you can take the per agent productivity from 2 or 3 or 4 a year to a deal a month. And in Southern California, in our financial model, when you're doing a transaction a month, that agent is netting in their bank account $100,000, which might not seem like a lot in today's inflated world, but $100,000 in this market net in their pocket after everything is a good amount of cash. And you want to get an agent to be units focused, not volume focused, because when you can be units focused, that's a sustainable, scalable business. Like people would ask me, Fred, you want to sell one $10 million property or 10 $1 million properties? And I would always say 10 $1 million properties, because I have a business that allows me to have consistency. I would love a $10 million deal, right? But that can come out of nowhere. I want the sustainability of a consistent, long-growing business, so I can go to bed at night knowing that I can consistently provide for my family, and then I can duplicate that to brokerages, to teams, to friends, and then they can do it as well.
Shaun, I'm going to turn to you for a moment, because I think Fred had touched on some of the off-market data that his team is using to try to generate some of those opportunities. So tell us a little bit about what Landvoice does in that space, and a little bit of their background in it, and what you're seeing in the market when you're talking to brokerages and teams.
Yeah, Coby, two things, right? So I hope everyone just took notes, because Fred just laid out one of the most difficult years in 2024, right? The lowest number of transactions in almost 30 years. 4.05 million transactions in 2024, lowest number since, I believe, 1995 or 96, right? And not only the lowest number of transactions, but 71% of all agents didn't do one deal last year, yet he's thriving in a really difficult, hard market. And so where Landvoice comes into play with all of this is, how can we help you as a brokerage team or agent continue to thrive in a really difficult environment? And what Landvoice specializes in is off-market data. Can we help you find the hand raisers, the guys that are wanting to sell their home, but just haven't worked with a realtor yet? And that's where Landvoice really thrives, right? Landvoice is going to specialize in the first sell by owner data, aggregate that data from over 1,500 sources every day, and deliver that to a team or a brokerage like Fred's every morning before 8 a.m. Then we take your MLS off market data, your expireds, withdrawals, and cancels, whatever you can kind of work with in your market. And we find all the contact information, right? Absentee owner information. So with the owner, absent or the absentee owner, phone numbers, emails, and mailing information, so you can mail or contact and reach out to these homeowners. And then we provide other off-market data like pre-foreclosure data, distress data, and we provide a neighborhood search tool that allows the agent to circle on a map and begin prospecting or working anytime you've just listed or just sold, or you're doing open houses like Fred's teams or brokerages are. You want to let everybody in that neighborhood know about those open houses you're doing each week, and we provide tools to help you get in front of the right owners of the right properties in those specific geo-targeted areas.
Now, I want to thank you for that. I want to echo what Shaun said, Fred, that the success that you're having with your team, just phenomenal, and in a highly competitive market in Southern California too. What are some of the things you're doing to help your agents? And I'm assuming you don't have 71% of your agents that have not done a deal. I'm guessing that number is closer to zero. Your agents are productive. They're following a process. They're following a system that you've put in place. What are some of the things you're doing to ensure that they have a competitive advantage in a highly competitive and just dense market like Southern California?
So I want them to think that, so in my mind, the way that I work with our agents is I treat them as business partners. They really are, right? I don't want them thinking that they're just an agent on Fred's team. It's 2025, right? So thinking like a brokerage, thinking that's just an agent in my office, no. A team owner thinking that that's just an agent on my team, no. You have to understand that an agent on a team or an agent at a brokerage is running their own book of business in their world. They're all independent contractors. Your job as the brokerage owner or the team owner or both is to put yourself in a position where you provide the value to them on a regular basis, but you also give them the tools and the dynamics of what they need. So in our agents' world, they have the ability to do any production they want, buyer, seller, tenant, landlord. They have the systems and tools to be able to do it, but I want them looking at us like a partnership. So for example, they know they can have me go on a very competitive listing if they want to, 5, 10, 15 million, but they don't have to do it alone. They have problems on the repairs and the negotiations while they're under contract. They can come to us and we're going to problem solve that as well. And even the brokerage world, I think that where they can improve, and I know it's very hard in the brokerage world because I've been a brokerage owner myself before. That is, number one, the margins are slim. We all know that, right? With the things that are changing in 2025, but they got to put themselves in a position where they can still provide value as a broker, act as if they're a partner, get their agents to those transactions, because when that revenue is closed and it comes in, all parties can benefit as a result of that revenue. So they got to think outside the box. As the simplest answer, Coby, is put yourself in a position to say, what does that agent need in today's world? And if you have 30 agents, 10 agents, 100 agents, not every single one is going to want a boiler templated value tech stack or value stack in negotiations or compensation plan. Some might need it differently. And if you can cater to those, especially top producers and ones that bring in the revenue and help them scale, you can retain them, which is critical, right? Because we know attrition costs are terrible in any business, and you can help get them to become your biggest raving fan so that they bring their friends to your team and to your brokerage. So it's kind of the way I think about it. It's an infinite game. I think Simon Sinek wrote a book called Infinite Game, and I just think it's a different mentality. I think the challenge with a suppressed, compressed market is that we have to, as business owners, we have to think in the short term, because we may not be here in 2 years if we don't, but simultaneously you have to think the infinite game. It's like running a sprint and a marathon at the exact same time.
If you were to put some of those elements into silos, right, and you're talking about the open houses and you're talking about the cold calls, where does off-market data, how does that fit into the overall strategy?
It's the same thing. So that goes into our 350 cold calls per week. Like my agent partner, Roger, so it's basically a showing partner, which we run my book of business inside of my team's role, because my team does about 82% of the production. I do about 18%, but I still sell 2 to 3 homes per month with the leverage of my showing partner. So Roger and I met today. We have a condo that we're listing in Santa Monica in about 2 weeks, but my seller, who's selling at 975, has to buy a single family at 1.5. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. It's a very low inventory market. It's right next to, obviously, the fires that took place in Southern California earlier this year. Not a lot of movement with homeowners. And we told them, hey, we're going to be able to cold call the community in the area as long as you give me a geo map location, which they did, a part of Santa Monica, and we're literally going to start calling off market tomorrow. Ring, ring. Is this the homeowner? Hi, this is Fred. I'm local broker. I'm giving you a call because I have a great family that wants to buy a home in your area. They already live here, but they can't find what they're looking for. Have you thought about selling your property? Oh, you haven't? Do you know a neighbor thinking about selling their property? By the way, have you thought about selling your home in the next 1, 3, or 5 years? So we take the off-market approach and the data, which we have to have, and the accuracy of it, and then see if we can find deals and put them together off-market. I mean, they exist. They literally exist if you can go after it. But it takes that pounding the pavement mentality with the right data to be able to go and take advantage of it. And when you do, you can put deals together that nobody else literally can in your market.
So we talk about, Zillow, I think, came out recently claiming that we're about 4.7 million homes short of where we need to be from an inventory standpoint. And, we can debate whether or not those numbers are accurate and what those numbers actually mean. Do we need more homes to come loose from sellers that are reluctant to sell? Do we need more homes to be built? But it sounds like using off-market data, Shaun, you can actually expand the available inventory, expand the marketplace, provide more value for your customers who come to someone like Fred and say, hey, I'm happy to list my home with you, but I need another home to buy and I'm not finding it out there.
Yeah. And what we love about Fred and his teams and what he's doing is these are hardworking individuals willing to apply themselves and be productive. And when we talk about off-market data, it's not always easy, but if you have the systems, the processes, and the discipline, you can crush one of the most difficult markets that we've seen in the last 30 years. And Fred's a testament to that. He's going to show you some numbers later. The other thing that I just want to mention is when Fred says, okay, we're going to go prospect or cold call, Landvoice is also going to protect you there, right? We're going to scrub every single phone number against the do not call registry. So you know what to call and what not to contact. And his team is extremely regulated, and they know exactly what to work with and what not to. And so we're going to protect you with the right data, give you the off-market data, and more importantly, the hand raisers, the people trying to sell their home now, but just haven't been able to with the last agent, or trying to do it on their own. And in a couple of weeks, they're going to find out how painful it is to do it on their own. And they're going to have to list with an agent. Coby, we're talking about a for sale by owner. National Association of Realtors every year comes out with that $1 million study, and it's 84 to 86% every year of FSBOs that will list with an agent. We think that should be you in your market and not one of your competitors. And if you provide that off-market data, this is the data that we think is going to help you recruit, retain, and get your agents into productivity or increase their revenue number and their GCI and what we're working with.
Yeah, it's an excellent point in that expanding the market using off-market data and those 86% that are going to try to list their house and sell it on their own, but ultimately come to market. Does that mean that the other 14% actually sell on their own?
That's a great question, right? Whether they sell on their own or give up and just pull it right back off the market for a time. We see a lot of both, don't we?
So there's an opportunity there with those other 14% even to still keep in touch with them, because most of them are going to give up and perhaps come back and decide to list with an agent, or, still go down that path where you can contact them and you can kind of keep them in your sphere and wait for them to get ready. Fred, what's the strategy with working with some of the off-market data with folks that say, hey, I'm not ready today, but I'm going to be ready in 1, 3, or 5 years? What does that look like, that journey?
Yeah. So when you guys were talking about that 14% of FSBOs, I thought about a question that I started asking, 12, 13 years ago to off-market homeowners. And that is, at what price are you a seller? At what price are you a seller? And they would always say, well, what are you talking about? Because it's in sales, it's important that we do what's called a pattern interrupt, right? It's NLP. And that is, a homeowner or anybody or an agent you're recruiting is under a pattern to say, no, I don't want your product. No, no, no. And you got to stun them with a question that gets their thought pattern to go a different direction. So a homeowner's like, I want to hang up with you. I want to hang up with you. I'll say, great. I completely understand. At what price are you a seller, John? They're like, what do you mean? Well, John, if I walked up to your house tomorrow morning and I brought 2 suitcases full of cash, how much cash has to be in that suitcases for you to be able to give me the keys to your home and move in 30 days? They'll laugh. They'll joke. What do you mean? And I'm like, and they're like, well, hold on a second. 1.3 and it's worth 900. But at least I got something out of them, and I got them realizing, number one, I'm here to help them. I say, you know what, John, it's not worth 1.3. You and I both know that. One day it's going to be. I'd love the opportunity to keep in touch with you over time, systematically through our home valuation tool we have. I'm going to update you 2 or 3 times a year, but I want to be your consultant when it comes to the equity of your home. Is that okay with you? Because values might go down. They might go up. When the time comes when you are ready, 6 months and 8 years, I just want the opportunity to interview for the job of getting your home sold. That's a fair request, isn't it? They'll say yes, and then I'll keep in touch. So that's kind of the general, at what price are you a seller? Tech stack to keep you in front of them regularly without you having to do the manual effort. You have to still old school call them a couple times a year, and you got to continue to remind them that you just want the interview of getting it sold. And if a homeowner typically says, I want to sell in 18 months, you cut it in half, it's 9, 36 months, 18. They could say 7 years and a life event can happen. Boom, they're ready to go tomorrow morning.
So Fred, you've got a really tight process in place for your team, and you've got a really large team. How many agents are you now on your team?
About 26 agents, 3 W-2 and 3 virtual assistants in 7 different locations in SoCal.
Okay, so you're operating as a team. Can this model work if you're a brokerage with, say, 200, 300 agents? How do you implement this if you're a managing broker? How do you make this work from, a team? And you may have plans on getting bigger. So, when you're thinking about scaling this to 5x, 10x, what does that look like?
I don't see a really distinguishing difference between what I do as a team to a brokerage. If anything, it's almost like a team ridge that I've seen, right? Where I do run multiple locations. I got out of brokerage ownership, right? Because I went all in the team aspect of it. But everything I do is I think like a brokerage, right? We have recruiting in place. We have financials in place. We have retention in place. We have a training calendar in place. We have physical locations in place, right? We have a buy box of what we want to provide to our people. So from a brokerage standpoint, there's a couple of things you have to understand. Operating like a team, I believe, is the brokerage of the future if you're going to compete in the brokerage world. What I mean by that is a general broker, and this sounds really bad, right? But it's the truth. And I want brokerage owners to hear this. A top producing team, which any broker would love to have in their market center, right? It brings in revenue on the brokerage fees. It brings in possible ancillary services revenue, and it brings a reputation that, wow, this person's at this brokerage. It could bring in an attraction of additional talent. So there's no reason why you wouldn't want somebody who's talented in a top producing team. But you want to be able to think like a team does, because number one, you have to be able to provide the value to those people like we talked about earlier, right? And also at the same time, you want to be able to deliver a tech stack and to be able to value stack that's good for your market. But what I was getting to was the challenge with brokerages. And if somebody asked me directly today, what is the value in a brokerage, generally speaking? And I know this is not the case, so please don't take it in the wrong way. But I want the brick and mortar, and I want them to take the liability of the transaction. Otherwise, I don't need the brokerage for training. I don't need the brokerage for anything, because top producing teams or even top producing agents that are solo, they're a one woman or a one man show. They're doing the vast majority. And that's what you don't want to continue as a theme. And I still have a lot of other top producers. They love their brokerage. They love their broker. And they're truly in partnership day to day. They're in relationship at the end of the day, because when you want to retain a talented person, it's not just the splits and the rent in the office. It's the relationship between the brokerage owner and leadership and staff to their agents and the team, right? Like my team knows that I will literally run through a brick wall for them if I have to. I'll go toe to toe on any transaction where there's a punk agent on the other side trying to strong arm them. And then I get into that deal and I save it. We put it together. We close. Yeah, I will do anything legally speaking for my agents and my team. They know that about me. That's servant leadership, right? That's transparency in your organization. And I think that is the bedrock of what a brokerage has to build on, because I still believe in the concept that we are still good human beings. And I still believe that the right relationship between brokerage and agent, or team and agent, will still outweigh any sort of splits and this and that model. And I still believe there's a foundation for that. But you have to also continue to wake up every single day saying, how can I provide so much value to that team owner, to that agent, to my staff member, that they would never even think about leaving my organization?
Yeah, incredibly powerful. Yeah. Yeah, it's
right?
Incredibly powerful. I mean, that's passion, that's commitment, that is a desire to overcome and to thrive in a market where a lot of others are throwing out slogans like, survive till 25, although we're, nearing 26 now. I wonder what the next slogan's going to be. But Shaun, from your perspective, where are you? And then I'm going to pivot back to you, Fred, because I want to throw the slide up and I want you to talk us through some of those numbers, because I think they're important for people to see, and I'm excited to go through them as well. But Shaun, what are you seeing? You've got probably the 5,000 or 10,000 foot view of the industry from where you sit. How are you seeing that you work with the larger brokerages? What are they doing differently, and what are you seeing out there that they may be able to do better using data or leveraging data to improve some of their productivity?
Yeah, a couple of things, right? So one reason we wanted to bring Fred on is Landvoice is working with 500 of the top performing teams around the country. And these are teams that are in high level of productivity, even in a down market and a down year. And when brokers are looking to work with these teams or enable all of the agents in their brokerage, it's the off-market data. Now, there's a lot of sexiness right now, all about the AI and these different AI tools. And I'm seeing a bunch of them. There's a bunch of AI tools out there that are using off-market data and building propensity models and charging you $1,000 or $2,000 or $5,000 a month to say, hey, go get in front of these people, when you can just license or subscribe to the off-market data from Landvoice and be in high productivity like Fred's team and the other 500 teams we're working with at Landvoice, and you can pay a fraction of the cost. So, AI is great and it's amazing. It's solving a lot of pain points for us. But what I'm telling you is you need the raw data. You need the right tools in front of your agents. And if you can do those things, Fred's a testament that we can get your brokerage into productivity and help all of your agents with the right systems and practices. And part of that just starts with the off-market data. So we're excited to help brokerages do the same thing at a fraction of the price of what they're used to paying for some of the other products and services that might be out in the market today.
Fred, I want to pivot back to you, and I want to throw that slide up now, just so we can talk through some of the numbers on your team. Now, this is your slide. Super impressive numbers. I want you to walk us through it, and we'll get some questions around it as well.
Yeah, for sure. So what I want people to understand is that we do what's called, from time to time, we do productivity challenges. I love to gamify. I realized a long time ago that if I can gamify the business. Once again, everything I talk about is either the brokerage or the team. If I can gamify, I get more buy-in and adoption of standards, initiative, like what I'm going to talk about right now. And it makes it fun to go about it as well. So I did a challenge on my team that lasted between July 15th and August 31st. But I pulled this data as of the 28th, and we gave them multiple challenges. So basically, I have it on my board over here. Number one, and that's 47 days from July 15th to August 31st. You have to hit multiple tiers of challenges. Number one, 30 open houses conducted during those 47 days. Number two, 3,000 calls made, right, during that time. And the calls and the dials, 1,500 have to be lead follow-up inside the CRM. 1,500 have to be outbound cold calls, right? 3,000 total, 30 new contacts added to the system, and not leads that we paid for. I'm talking generation of leads through open houses, outbound calls, Sphere, etc. And then we have to have 6 written agreements logged, which are buyer broker agreements or listing agreements. We have to sign 3 listings and put them on the market and go active. And the last one is go on 10 appointments, which is buyer consultations or listing appointments. So out of those 6 opportunities, if you get 3 of those during the 47 days, you get an all expense paid trip to Disneyland all day long. Number 2, if you do 5 out of the 6, you get Disneyland plus $500 in cash plus a special event. So we just finished it. We had multiple team members complete it. We got to plan our Disneyland day coming up. But the reason I bring it up is because this is what took place. So the outbound calls, which is the outbound cold calls, right? We did that many dials, 25,648. And then inside of our CRM, which we use Brivity, we did lead follow-up calls was 11,554. The combination of conversations in both of those was 3,299. Of those conversations, and a conversation to us is a two-way dialogue. You ask for the order, you ask for the opportunity, and there's a response. If they click on you, that doesn't count, right? And then appointments set was 164, and then appointments held was 122, and then obviously 56 agreements signed, which were buyer rep agreements, listing agreements, combination of both. And then obviously open houses hosted, 196, homes pending and closed, 42, and then listing agreements actually signed with sellers, 21. So for us, I never thought 4 or 5 years ago we wouldn't even do this in a quarter. Now we wouldn't even do this in 6 months, 9 months, let alone 47 days, or this is probably 42 or 43, whatever this is. But this is the level of activity that is literally required to still hit your numbers. And for us, our standard in our team in a shifting market is 150 million, right? 99 million to me is a complete failure because of the expenses I have, the revenue required, and the requirement of the net income goal for the partners so that I can retain them and help change their lives. So I just think it's incredibly important that we go all out during this time because I have no expectation, even though I think I've probably got a lot of money riding on it if I'm betting man, and I am. I do believe that anywhere from January 15th to May 15th of 26, we're going to get some legitimate wind beneath our sails. And I feel we're going to be at the 5.875 30-year fix, which I think is a breaking point to increase the unit count across the nation. But even if that didn't happen, and I'm not banking on it, which I'm not, I got to take these things in my own hands, my partners and I, to create the market ourselves, not rely on it to come to us. So,
but let's talk about that for a moment, because we touched on it earlier. I think when I opened the show about how we're seeing a jobs report that got revised again, 911,000 jobs wiped off, the biggest revision in history. It's going to lead to interest rates coming down, right? There's going to be some fear and money flocking to the bond market out of the stock market. We're going to see some of that, so we're going to see lower interest rates. I don't know where they're going to head to. I mean, if they're going to be below 6 or the 5.5 mark, but that is going to impact your market, Fred. That is going to impact what you do in the next 6-9 months. How does that impact? How does that factor into the activities you're doing? Because they're enormous in size and scope. But how does a market where more buyers are present, what does that do? Does that increase the opportunities because the inventory is stagnant? Yeah. If you have more buyers out there, what happens? If you don't have enough inventory and you have more buyers, prices are going to go up, right? Yeah. So where do the opportunities come from?
Yeah, great question. Yesterday, we locked in a buyer on a 30-year fixed FHA in Southern California at a 5.625 with no points. Wow. That's really good, by the way, right? Yeah. So government funding is in the mid to the 5.5, 5.75 as of the time of this conversation. Obviously, it swings, so don't quote me on that. Check with your lender or your bank, etc. But the most important thing is we have to use the market of now to educate the buyers and sellers of the future. As long as I've done this, the three of us are literally, we live and breathe this industry. So we hear about jobs report in the moment. We look at our stocks. We look at the 10-year treasury. Boom, rates are coming down to a tenth of a basis point today, whatever that may be. I just know that now. And then I use that immediately. The problem is the consumers literally don't know, and the full impact till 30 to 60 days after that moment. So the fact that rates are 30-year fixes in the low sixes, government's high fives. We won't see the benefit till I think 3 to 6 weeks from today, meaning the rush of buyers, as long as it's sustained, which we know it's going to be sustained because the Fed's meeting and it's going to drop even more from a Fed fund rate standpoint, et cetera, et cetera. So we have to be able to use the information to be able to, what I love doing in sales. I love doing this when I was a brokerage owner, love doing this as a team owner right now, love doing this as a trainer. I mean, you name it, any business I'm in, I do this. It's called creating urgency. So if I'm talking to a buyer, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I want you to know that right now, rates are incredible, right? And I think it's a great buying season because come January, February, March of 2026, when everybody knows about this and rates are even lower, this inventory is going to get snatched up. You will get back into potentially bidding wars, and you will have to potentially overpay for a property. But right now I can get you a great rate on a house and actually a great price because there's motivated homeowners and the inventory is still high in your market. And we can get the best of both worlds. So let's rerun your numbers. Let's get you back in the car and let's go after property if it makes financial sense. Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, right now, buyers are coming back in the market because rates have dropped. So I think it's a great time to put your house in the market in the next 30 to 45 days because we can get you top dollar. We can get you 25 to 35% increase in buyer pool for your house because of the affordability. And we can get you off to your next endeavor or even into your next home before the holiday season. You're using the info to create the urgency. Are you with me? And then what happens is if they don't want to transact, that's fine. If you're recruiting an agent and you're saying, hey, our brokerage model is unbelievable. Here's what's going on. We're getting agents into production faster. Why don't we get you onboarded now so I can get you in production by December, systems and models in place. So come January 1st, you're not thinking about where to go or move to make. You've already been doing it so you can take advantage of the uptick in the market. How does that sound? So you see, it's the same. You're just the foundation is the urgency, and then either they're going to act now, and if they're not, just follow up. But if they're going to act now, snatch it up and go after it.
I mean, the beauty of data, right? If we're leveraging data correctly, we can be successful with it in any market as long as we're uncovering the opportunity. Shaun, in some markets where you work with brokerages that may have more severe inventory issues, and we're going to see more buyers come into the market. What's the strategy? What are you telling brokers to do as far as leveraging your data to uncover more opportunities for their buyers?
Yeah, that's a great question. And really the strategy right now is this. I mean, in between now and the end of the year, it's the teams, the brokerages, the agents that are stacking listings right now. When we talk about a record number of buyers and sellers that have been sitting on the fence for the last 4 to 5 years, those that are stacking listings now and with rates dropping even a hair, really good news, Fred, of what you just saw yesterday, right? But if we start seeing rates in the fives, high fives, mid fives to even low fives next year, all of those individuals who have stacked listings, and where are we going to find listings? Well, we're going to do open houses like what Fred's been doing, right? But if we're going to work with the off-market data, these are the people that need to sell and list now. And so the strategy is that let's stack listings between now and the end of the year. And if your agents will do that, your brokerage is going to be in a phenomenal position to ride this next wave that we all think is coming soon.
Love it. Fred, I think we can spend hours talking about what you're doing. I mean, just your passion alone makes me want to keep this webinar going for, a couple hours more, but we do have to sign off. And I just want to throw it back to you to give some final thoughts around, where you see the future of the agent going, the future of the team going. What's your take on the industry in the next 12, 24 months? I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
I'm going to give an analogy. And once again, please don't take any offense to it. It's just my brain I'm not a very smart guy. I just can outwork anybody, right? That's kind of my motto. And that is, number one, if you think about an income class, we have low income class, we have middle class income, we have high class income. We've all talked for years. I mean, everybody is friends that, hey, the middle class is eroding, right? It's just this way it is. Real estate agents, I feel, is a low class, and there's a middle class, and there's a high class. The low class are the ones that just part-time agents that do 2 or 3 or 4 deals a year. God bless them. It's amazing. Make that cash. Middle class are solo agents that are doing 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 13, 14, 18 units. And then high class are top producing teams like ours and others that you may know. And with the market shifting the past 3 years, the middle class of agents, those solo agents, are doing a couple of things. Number one, they're maybe doing a deal or 2 or 3 a year from doing 8 to 12 to 14. So they've gone to the low class as far as numbers go, or they've partnered with top producing teams like ours. because they don't want to have to fund the operation. They don't want to have to do everything. They want to still net their income and let us, the team owner, potentially do it. So from a brokerage standpoint or a team standpoint, we have to recognize that. Yeah, the middle class can potentially come back with some units, but we have some significant long-term permanent changes from AI, from technology, from companies that are getting into the platform business. There's so many aspects of that, things that we have to watch out for, that once again, you want to be the team owner, or you want to be the brokerage owner that is the one that's being able to provide so much value that even the 3 to 8 unit agents or the 8 to 28 unit agents can come to you. You guys can share in the revenue together, but their net income is still significantly better long term because the value you're providing, the overhead that you're covering, makes common sense to get into business partnership. So I just feel that we have to be not naive to the situation of what's happening. Just thinking that rates are going to drop, government and administration is going to make certain policy changes to give us a short-term bull market is going to change our long-term problem. I want to be in this business, God willing, as long as I can. I'm only 41 and I want to go another 10 to 15 years heavily, right? And I feel like I can change a lot of lives by doing that. But what I'm doing today is not going to work in 3.5 or 5.5 years, no matter how good we're doing. So we have to consistently evolve. We have to be forward thinkers. We have to fail forward. And we got to provide the value necessary so that the agents we have today want to stay with us in 5 years. And the agent of the future, we can actually partner and recruit with, because the value is so bad to the bone that they couldn't think of anywhere else to join. So for me, you got to be on your toes all the time.
Love it, and agree. Shaun, I'm going to let you have the final thought here. Give us the Landvoice perspective and the Shaun Farr perspective on the next 2 to 5 years of real estate, and what Landvoice is going to be looking like working with your real estate partners out there.
Well, Landvoice is bullish about the next 2 to 5 years, right? We're really excited about where we think the market is going, but I'm just going to finish, Coby, with where we started. A big pain point for brokers right now is, how do I recruit more effectively, retain, and get my agents in production? And as Fred talks about, adding more value to the individual agent to help them get in production and help them be in this vertical in what they're doing long term, we want to help with that. So Landvoice has benefited from raising a very large round of funding. And for the last 2 years, we've been auditing all of our data sets to increase the quality and the quantity of the data. And while we've done that, we've actually lowered the price for teams like Fred's and for brokers and for agents. So you're going to get, when you look into Landvoice, check out our Google reviews, over 500 reviews now with a 4.8 rating.
Wow.
We're going to get you the best data at the lowest price. And we know with the brokerage, the biggest problem with technology and with data is what I call adoption rates, right? You have sometimes lower adoption rates. And so we're in a position at Landvoice to look at, okay, we know brokerages have a low adoption rate, but can we get them pricing that still makes sense at that low adoption rate? So pricing will never be an issue. Like, come and talk to us. We got a friendly staff. We're here to help get you that off-market data, get your agents in productivity to help you as the broker retain and recruit by adding value to each of those agents. And so call us at 888-678-0905. Take a look at our Google reviews, take a look at our website, or email or call me directly. My email is Shaun, SHAUN, at landvoice.com. I'd love to have a conversation with you and show you how it makes sense to help, again, your agents and help you as a broker become more effective to recruit, retain, and get those agents in productivity.
Love it. Well, we're going to leave it there, gentlemen. I feel like this was such a spirited and just full of revelations, this conversation. I feel like it almost begs for a round 2 at some point. So I am going to have you both back on this, and we're going to dive deeper into the subject because it is fascinating. And essentially, we are talking about the future of where real estate is going, and how to create a successful, vital brand. Thank you both very much for being on. We will end it there, and we will talk soon.